Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Staffing Matters and Urgency Committee, and a happy new year to those watching live or watching after the meeting, including colleagues that are joining me today. First agenda item is declarations of interest. So I'll give those taking part just a few seconds in case anybody wants to indicate virtually. I can't see any, just a few shakes of the head. So thank you very much. So no declarations of interest to declare. Item 2 is the minutes of the previous meeting that are included on pages 1 to 4. Any issues or matters rising? I can just see a few shakes of the head. So if I could please see those that are happy to accept the minutes, either a show or a nod. Great, thank you very much. So everybody's happy to accept the minutes from the last meeting. That then takes us on to agenda item 3. We don't have any registered public participants today. So that then means we can go straight on to agenda item 4, which is the workforce profile set out between pages 5 to 16. And I'll hand over to Trudy to introduce the paper.
Thank you very much. Agenda item 4 is the workforce profile. So this is up to and including the 30th of September. So it goes to the end of quarter 2. This is what we bring back to the committee twice a year. So we'll bring it back with the data. We bring it back in June for the data at the end of the financial year, which is end of March. The data is all available on the open platform anyway, but we keep it in one place to bring it together in one place here for ease. Our plan is just to pick out some key bits within the data and then open it up for questions. So the data on page 10 in terms of our headcount and FTEs, that's staying relatively stable. There's always going to be fluctuations in figures for discrepancies between people leaving and people starting. So we've not gone through a big reduction in staffing during this first part of the year. So figures are relatively stable on headcount and FTE. On sickness on page 11, that's obviously for a rolling 12-month period. Up to quarter 2, we can see the figures come down. Obviously, this data is in September, so I'll just kind of give the heads up in relation to COVID and the new strain. We are seeing an increase in staff absence from December time, so that the numbers are going up and people self-isolating. So that'll be reflected in the figures that we'll get for the end of March. The reasons for leaving on page 12, so we've broken down the kind of reasons for leaving. Just to be clear that line 2, the dismissals end of contract at 13%, that's end of fixed term contract, so it's not that we're dismissing people. End of a fixed term contract is a reason for dismissal, so just so you're aware of that. Resignations that we'd expect around currently around that 43% mark, and retirements are the other big area of reasons for leaving. The turnover, I think probably one thing to a bit of an anomaly there, although no difference to kind of previous years, is the higher rate within children's education and communities in comparison to the rest of CYC. Moving on to the work with York data. So again, relatively stable. We are doing a lot of work around making sure what we use in Work with York form, we have control processes to approve the use of Work with York staff. You will note on there that we do have long-term assignments over 12 months. So a lot of the longer-term assignments that we've looked into, so we have done an audit on all the roles that we have. Some of those individuals may have been here 12 months, but they might have done different assignments, so they might have gone around the organisation in different teams. Others are in there, and I think some of them are linked to restructures have been put on hold, obviously over this period with COVID as well, that a lot of the restructures that were planned for last year haven't happened, and therefore what we've done is put temporary positions into some roles if we know that post may be deleted or restructured, to not put anybody in a kind of redundancy situation. The equalities profiling is there again, relatively similar data that we've had in previous years. There's no kind of anomalies or anything sticking out, kind of coming out at us for up to the end of quarter 2. And I think I'll leave it there, Chair, and just answer any specific questions.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to open it up for any questions or comments. Councillor Myers.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks for that report, Trudy. I think you've answered the main point that I was wanting to make around work with York. So I'll just maybe ask for a touch more clarity, maybe, or more of an outline on the assignments over 12 months, which you've mentioned some shorter assignments, but personnel are kept within the organisation and put onto a different task. Are there any, from a HR perspective, are there any points in the future that you may be looking at to work with each department to say, can we turn these long-term assignments into permanent contracts, or is there any further review that you would want to do from HR's perspective?
Yeah, so we have got these on our radar, so we are constantly monitoring these ones, Councillor Myers. So we do go back and challenge the department. The use of work with York should always be initially that kind of 3 to no more than 6 months kind of assignment. That's what it generally should be used for in terms of that temporary staffing, and anything more than that should be actually it's a permanent position or potentially a fixed term contract for a longer period of time on our own terms and conditions. So we are continually monitoring it. Our stance is there shouldn't be long-term assignments through work with York, but there is in some instances justified reasons for that. So there is some people that we use on there on a very ad hoc basis that might only be used once a month to do some testing, and again they'll be seen as kind of long-term assignments as well. So there is some justified reasons of people on there, but where they're not and they're seen to be taking what is a permanent job, then we do work with the departments to move them across.
Thank you very much for that. I think the only little question for me related to table 1.6, leaving reasons, and you've already highlighted that the vast bulk there are resignations or retirements. And what sort of caught my eye was the number of subcategories for resignations, because presumably the majority of those resignations are people moving on to other jobs or other opportunities or deciding to stop work. Whereas actually those that have put resignation for their career is a very, very low percentage. Is that just presumably the way people tick the exit questionnaires and whether we ever need to sort of capture any more information?
Yeah, I think that's right, Chair. I think if we don't have any more information, just resignation, then it'll be recorded on the HR system as resignation. I think where people have given a bit more information, then they will record it. They'll all be collated up, so I don't think we've never been asked to break it down any further than what's there. And some of I think we may have touched on this before. We're encouraging that kind of the managers do the exit interviews with the staff, so it's picking up on if there is any specific issues within those exit interviews, then that would be highlighted if there's anything to look into of why somebody's leaving.
Thank you very much. I cannot see any other virtual hands up, so we've got the recommendations in front of us at paragraph 9. Are we happy to accept those recommendations, which is primarily noting the report? Thank you very much. So we've all indicated at slightly different times, but I'm sure that still counts for the record. So thank you very much, Trudy. And so that then takes us on to agenda item 5, which is the work plan for the committee. Anything you wanted to add, Trudy?
No, it's just a standard work plan. Nothing's changed since the last meeting.
Great, thank you very much. So if we're happy to note that, just to give people an opportunity to say anything, but I can see nods. So if we note the work plan, and just going back to the front agenda, that then takes us to item 6, which is urgent business. I've not been informed of any urgent business today. So thank you very much for joining us and your questions, and I'll see you at the next SMU committee soon. Thanks all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.